We extend a special invitation to those who are single, married, divorced, gay, transgender, rich or poor. We extend a special invitation to Gen Zs, millennials, Gen X, baby boomers. They are putting more names onto it now. We have Gen Alpha and Gen all sorts of things. You're welcome if you are confused as I am. We invite those who are in recovery, still addicted, having problems or down in the dumps because you don't like organized religion or heard that this was a strange church. You're welcome if you have never been to church since your nephew or niece's baptism. We offer a special invitation to those who are in situations of grief and those who could use a prayer right now or have had religion shoved down your throat as a kid. We invite tourists, seekers, doubters, bleeding hearts, and you, and you, and you. Welcome to the church in Ocean Park.
My name is Janet McKeithen, and I am the minister here, and I also welcome you to the church in Ocean Park. We are multi-religious, so you are welcome no matter what you find on the windows when you walk in the door. We are dedicated to trying to create a more sustainable and equitable world for all people. We want to begin by acknowledging that we are currently sitting on stolen land. This land was stolen by the Quiche, the Chumash, and the Tongva peoples. We acknowledge the harms of genocide, forced assimilation, enslavement, and destruction at the hands of U.S. settler colonialism. We also acknowledge that our country and our towns were built on the backs of people who were stolen from Africa, placed into bondage, and then forced into labor. We acknowledge that we benefit from that labor that has never been repaid. In our acknowledgement, let us change how we do things that we see as normal, but that are actually systemically hurting people. All of us have biases, no matter how much anti-bias training we've taken, and it takes intentionality to build compassion beyond our own tribes. And so that's what we try to do here at the church in Ocean Park, is we try to bring perspectives that are outside of our own tribes, so that we can build compassion for people who have different life experiences than ours. This morning you'll hear from a variety of people. If you hear something you disagree with, know that your voice matters just as much as the person who just spoke, even if this is the first time you walked in the door. You are a part of the church in Ocean Park, and you speak for the church in Ocean Park as much as that person does. So just remember that as you hear from a variety of people this morning. Thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for helping build barriers of love and tear down unjust systems and barriers of hate. Thank you for being a part of bending the arc toward justice, which we know needs to be done again and again and again. We begin by centering ourselves with a Thich Nhat Hanh chant. So take a deep breath. And we're going to chant together, I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now, 3 times. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. Welcome to the church in Ocean Park. We're glad that you're here. I have the opportunity now to introduce Rabbi Joshua Katzan, who is the rabbi at Mishkon Tephilo, right down the street. I mean, if you just, not even 10-minute walk to our left, to our south. He was born and raised in Los Angeles. He lives what he believes is the essence of the Los Angeles vibe. He's intellectually open-minded, spiritually curious, grounded, warm, and accepting of all people. As a child, his curiosity in Eastern meditation led him to exploring his Jewish spiritual roots. As a young adult, he moved to Israel for several years to study Judaism intensely, and that led him into a career in Jewish education and later the rabbinate. His chosen denomination of conservative Judaism suits him best, as it is lived where tradition and current reality meet. He has made his career of exploring and sharing the depth of meaning of Jewish tradition and is passionate about making it relevant to people's lives. As he puts it, the ancient wisdom of our tradition asks the right questions. It is an act of spirituality to explore how we respond to the questions today. His interests in psychology and music are front and center, and you'll see some of that today. And more than anything, he loves teaching and conversation, which we'll have today, especially around an intimate Shabbat table. We're lucky because not only is he going to speak with us and have conversation with us, he's also going to play and sing. And so I'm going to welcome him to do that first. Welcome, Rabbi Josh.
Thank you so much. Wow. It's a joy and an honor to be invited to spend this morning with you. I guess I should also confess that any opportunity I have to let out my inner James Taylor, I'll take it. Let's be real. I think one of the most precious teachings of the Bible from Genesis is captured in the moment that Adam and Eve create union. And Adam knew Eve, and she conceived and bore a child. Now, it's very Jewish to read text both at the same time literally and imaginatively, metaphorically. And something that I find powerful is that the essence of union is when two individuals explore their fullness as a full half. You're a full person, but when you join with another, you become a half, and therefore responsible to the other. And that's the essence of knowing in the biblical sense. To be known and to know. That's an idea that actually I first learned from Parker Palmer, who's a Quaker educator and theologian. And I find it beautiful. So this is a song that comes from the Song of Songs, the precious book in the Jewish Bible, in the Tanakh, that it really is a metaphor of a love affair that's not quite fully realized. The yearning between God and Israel is on its face, but really it's the essence of yearning between one element of humanity and another. So this is a song I like to sing during a wedding. Dodili vani lo haroe bashoshani dodili mizotola min hamishkan bar mizot olam min hamidbar todi li v'ani lo haroeh b'shoshani מקוטרת מולבונה דודי לי ואני לא הרואה שושני דודי לי. All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, we're going to have a sort of a conversation up here, so I'm going to move this out of the way a little, just down the one. Maybe not. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now just move to the side. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so Rabbi Josh and I have spoken before about maybe possibly getting our congregations together at some point, and we were when we met as a leadership team with the church in Ocean Park, we decided that we would get to know our neighbors, which makes sense, and because we're going to have to get stronger and stronger 2025. We know that there are things that may come that may make it important for us to know who each other is. I mean, it's always important, but this is even more important. So we spoke a little bit on Zoom, and we talked about getting the leadership folks together, and we will do that at some point. But I'm so happy that Rabbi Josh is here today, because I get to know him better, and you will get to know him better, and he'll get to know who we are, sort of. I mean, on this particular day at this particular time, who we are. So anyway, you can have a seat. So he's going to begin, and then I'm just going to, once in a while, just ask a question or two, possibly.
Okay, thank you. And is it Pastor Janet? Janet, okay. Definitely Janet, no doubt. Again, thank you for inviting me. What I am passionate about talking about and teaching is really more of a reminder that spirituality is an effort. It's not a feeling, it's a process. And religions are extraordinary repositories of tradition, coming from, I believe, the word ligament, the word for ligament. It's the tissue that holds us together through time. Anybody can come up with a great idea and have a great practice in a moment, but how does that endure through one's own developmental process through life? We're very different today than we were when we were teenagers. Yeah, I'd say I could say that with some assurity, right? But then, the next generation, or the generation that we encounter that is ours but different from us, how do we make wisdom endure? And I think that is the opportunity that religion is one response to, or one answer. Spirituality is very flexible because the principles are understood uniquely depending on when we are and where we are in our life. So with that in mind, I think it's important Janet and I were speaking about this before, just to sometimes you name the gorilla in the room, in the corner, or the thing that's gnawing at you, just name it. And I would like to just say, look, obviously today, if it were 2 years ago, you'd be welcoming a rabbi with probably other questions in your mind. Since October 7th, 2023, the world, certainly the Jewish world, and I would expect this community as a progressive community, takes very seriously and alarmingly what's going on. How do we make sense of it? What's happening? So I saw a comedian online that said, since October 7th, every single Jew with a microphone has a new job as ambassador. So I don't know that I can fully respond to all of your heartfelt concern and questions, but I would love the opportunity. So we can't do that now, but I would offer myself to you as somebody who came of age when I was in college at Hebrew University. I was there in 1986 and left in August of 1987, which was just a few months before the first Intifada began. That was where my sense of Zionism and connection to the Jewish people deepened and took root. I was a college activist in those days. I have lived in Israel for 5 years, as you heard. I have many perspectives. I've gone through many evolutions from right, center left, left. Leave me alone. That's also, by the way, a perspective. Just leave me alone. And then we're called back to do our work. There's no one right answer to any of it. It is very complex. And there's a reason why it's important. There's a reason why so many people feel so tormented about it, and that's because we're talking about humanity, and humans are complex. There's no one simple salve, one simple answer to any of it. So I just wanted to name it and invite any of you, if you'd like to pursue conversation about what's happening, what's going on, I'd be more than happy to get together. Narwhal is equally distant between both of our institutions. I think that'd be a good place to sit and have coffee. So one of the guiding principles, I think, of Judaism that helps me make sense of the world is, as I began with the song, this notion of realizing who we are and then encountering the other and finding ways to honoring our own dignity and honoring the dignity of the other and traversing the bridge that divides, meaning every human being, like every snowflake that's ever existed, is utterly, completely unique. And that uniqueness starts with the image of God that is within each of us, essence of our creation. Beyond that, even genetically, we are all unique. There will never be another you. One of my favorite musicians, Victor Wooten, is a bass player. He teaches, it's great that people try to play what I play, but I already have the job of being me. So what do you play? Who are you? And when two different people come together to play music, two distinct notes in relationship to each other, that's the essence of harmony. Metaphor. I think in metaphor. So Judaism teaches we are each unique and therefore also each responsible to the other and for ourselves. And that becomes the essence of what I would capture Jewish spirituality as. It is framed by the notion of relationship, covenant. God makes a covenant with Abraham, and that inspires him to go on his journey, but not just to go on a journey, because we all go on journeys. To go on a journey with a sense of purpose, to ultimately become a blessing to the people around him. That then evolves into a family and a plurality of tribes, the 12 tribes of Israel, who was Jacob, who had his name changed to Israel after he grappled with an angel. And really, for the first time in his life, he stood up and did not take the easy way. And he was forever transformed, not just in name, but he also walked with a limp after that confrontation. Another point, spirituality is not easy. Sometimes it costs us to not just live our principles, but to follow the path. And that's not a bad thing. So the essence is relationship, and God creates a covenant with Israel at Mount Sinai, delivering the 10 Commandments, but is really just the entree. The first 10 are for free. Now comes more. And
you have quite a few. How many?
613 is the common.
Yeah. One of the things that we do at this community is after the little conversation, we will have community sharing. So we'll get back to that. Yeah.
So the commandments are obligations. Mitzvah is the Hebrew word for commandment. And the 613 commandments, first of all, there's no way any one person can fulfill them all. Not just because there's too many, but because some of them are very specific. Some are just for the priests. Some are just for a period of time when you happen to be this way or that way. It's Shabbat. It's keeping kosher is forever.
Somebody might be wondering, so in the Catholic faith, I know that there's confession. So if you put Catholic and all of those together, which you couldn't, because one is Jewish and one is Catholic, but then is there some equivalent in Judaism for breaking these?
Yes. The notion of sin in Judaism, the word for sin is chet, which comes from archery. It means, and I'm sure you've heard this metaphor before, it means missing the mark. So a sin is a mistake, as it were. It is not an indelible stain on the soul, but it is something that needs to be dealt with. And the process of responding to that mistake is called tshuva, return. And so that's Rosh Hashanah. Yom Kippur is the holiday that focuses on that as a central theme. Judgment is a good thing in moderation. To judge oneself to the point of debilitation doesn't help anybody. It might make you feel good, look how judgy I am on myself. I'm more judgy on myself than you are. I can judge myself more than you can judge me. Oi is right. But that's not the spirituality, and that's not the point. The point is to grow from it. Because we are all made better if we go back and repair our mistakes, and if we find ourselves in that position to do it again, we don't. And the reason we do it in the first place is because it's part of our particular nature in that moment. In other words, you might not have had a choice but to do that thing that now you regret. Doesn't matter. It's done, and we can deal with it. We may need to carry the burden or the scar, but moving through it and forward is more important than anything. So that's, I think, the Jewish response. Oh my God, there's so many jokes I could make. But you said oi, and then all of my Philip Roth imagery started coming.
Can I ask you a question about your Middle Eastern, so you connected with Middle Eastern spirituality, correct?
With Eastern spirituality.
With Eastern, not Middle East. Yeah,
Middle Eastern, I would consider Judaism a Middle Eastern spirituality.
The Eastern spirituality, and then is that incorporated into your Judaism?
So on some level, yes, but not overtly. In other words, good teaching is good regardless of what language you're using. And it was when I started to study Judaism seriously, I recognized just how similar the notions of good practice, right behavior, basic wisdom is fluid throughout the rabbinic tradition. And so I saw, oh, I don't have to go there, it's right here. And frankly, many of the teachings of Jesus are very rabbinic because he was raised in that same era in the same area. That was the wisdom of the time. He made a bigger splash, I think, in his teaching at that time. But it's consistent. So when I hear teachings of Jesus, I say, yeah. So one great example is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The golden rule. The rabbinic Jewish version of that is do not do unto others as you would not have them do unto you. It's two sides of the same coin. And really, we need to learn both. There are times when, okay, I'm not going to say what I wanted to say. And I know that I'm fulfilling this teaching. Lucky for you, and you'll never know. But then the other side is, you know something? Even if somebody disagreed with me, I would want them to honor my side of the story in some way. They don't have to agree, but you can honor me. I'm going to say that to you now. That's how I see it.
And so you chose conservative Judaism. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Conservative Judaism emerged as a response to the polemic between the emerging Reform Judaism and what was called modern Orthodoxy. And Reform Judaism, I won't give you a whole history lesson here, but basically we can restructure Jewish practice and what is considered Jewish life around modernity. Let's be mostly modern with a little bit of tradition. And modern Orthodoxy grew out of a reaction to that and said, no, you have it backwards. It needs to be a lot of tradition and a little bit of modernity. We'll translate our Bibles into the language of the place that we live in. How about that? Like, okay, that's very important, but that's not modern enough, I would say. Conservative Judaism comes out of the notion that we're here to conserve tradition. It's really conservationist Judaism. It's not conservative as we associate it politically. Let us conserve our tradition and apply it meaningfully to modernity. So it's that messy middle, you know? Yes. So that's why I like the messiness. Once you realize, I think I was 17 when I realized, I was 17 when I realized everything I was so certain of just suddenly disappeared. And I was terrified. I no longer had certainty. But then once you grow comfortable with that, it's like, oh, I guess my parents do have something to teach me. How do you like that? Being able to hear other people and also being able to hold on to my principles actually made my principles stronger. Even if I had to, okay, this was a mistake, that person has persuaded me, but the essence of it can still be applied.
So yeah, when I was in seminary, some people dropped out because they were having almost a breakdown, because they realized, for example, the Bible wasn't dictated by God, and there was actually people that were involved in selecting what things would be in the Bible. Right. But I went to a Christian seminary, and it was sort of the same thing. Like, they realized all that they knew, all that they thought they knew was not true, actually.
Right.
And so it does make it would make you rethink your whole spirituality and your whole life.
Yeah. A statement that's attributed to Kierkegaard made a lot of sense to me and has really helped me in precisely with that, because we all have to, in a sense, break the idols of our fathers, as it were, to call back the parable of Abraham. And that is, when we come into this world and we develop a faith as young people, I won't say children, but as young people, it's what's called the first naivete, innocence. How did the world come into being? Well, God created it. And the trees and nature, and you learn more and more about ecology, and it's all so elegant and beautiful. Wow. The first naivete. But then can come the crisis. But with ecology also comes biology. And with biology, we learn that there's certain things that actually don't work. Like our knees, our hips, our eyes. Like, we are not perfect. And there's something in realizing that what is so elegant is deeper than we understand. And so there can be a crisis of, wait a minute, I guess God didn't write the Bible the way I understood it. Does that mean everything I have done in my life has been a waste? Have I been duped? What do I do now? Is there meaning in this if it's not actually true with a capital T? That's a shattering of that first naivete. The second naivete comes with the as it were. When we can be comfortable and breathe deeply again. It may be that God did not write the Bible. It may be that the stories that have inspired me to take such strong positions in my life, or to create problems with my own family, were not actually grounded in absolute truth. But you know something? There's something here that holds me together, that I hold together, that allows me to be a better human being in this world. And that God operates in ways that are beyond the blunt. God is the celestial parent. But he's God, the old man with a beard. I still can't say no, but I don't believe that. I can't believe it. But there's a certain so what-ness. That should be a religious principle.
Yeah.
The principle of so what?
Exactly.
It's not perfect. So what?
Yeah.
I'm not perfect.
That's right.
So what?
Right.
Is there something still to learn here? And that, I think, is a very powerful essence of Judaism, essence of spirituality that contributes to how and why religions can endure and be so good for humanity.
I think that's a great thing to end on, because the little things, so what? They're not what's important. There is a big so what, but there are many littles, so what? So I think we want to thank you for this time together.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we will have a time of community sharing after we have an amazing song by Dave Morrison, our friend. Come back. Okay, we can go down for a minute.
That's a great little discussion. Thank you, Rabbi. Quickly check my tuning. I'm not sure which commandment it is, but I think the lute players and guitar players were supposed to always check their tuning as a sort of public service. Yeah. Am I right about that?
100%. It is written.
It is written. Yeah.
It gets harder, a little harder in winter when it's constantly changing temperature all the time. So it was nice of you to make the comment, so what? You know, in response to all the uncertainty. 13 years ago now, I'm looking for a pick now. I'm not trying to have a little fun on the side. I was being sort of hurled from the little cottage where I'd lived, where I'd been hiding safely for a long time. And I had all kinds of certainty in my life, including the pronounced drinking habit that I developed over those years. And I didn't know yet, but I'd had my last great romantic binge. And I was being pushed out of my cottage, and I didn't know where the hell I was going or what was going to happen. And as I was giving things away and selling things and throwing things away, this thought kept coming into my mind. It's okay to go live in the story. You know, and as a songwriter and a storyteller, I've always put a lot of, I think that's our great, it's in a sense, that's our great elegant adaptation, is that we tell stories to one another. And all of our philosophies and the religions that contain them, these are our stories. And so I decided I would go live in the story, and I wrote this song during that period of time. So I'm not plugged in. Should I be plugging in?
The mic is enough. It's up to you.
Oh, okay, so I just got to bring it back in then. It's always changing a little bit because Nate is chronically creative. There we go. All right. I woke up this morning with a hole in my heart, shaped a lot like you. My brittle spirit broke apart, and light came pouring through. I know you gave me a treasure, it was more than I could use. Hey ho, away I go, I got nothing left to lose. Well, the frost is crunching beneath my heels. The trees are like skeleton hands. The sky is hard as plated steel, and winter's on the land. Yeah, but somewhere a sun is painting gold across the roofs. Hey ho, away I go, I got nothing left to lose. Here's to the horn in the attic. The bell ain't never been rung. The poet punching some dead-end clock to die with her song unsung. Here's to the sway-backed houses, to the bramble and the rust. Somewhere there's a home for all of us. I rang a stop sign like a gong with my big old clumsy head. I laughed to see the droplets fall, amazed that I still bleed red. After 30 years hard labor in a tank car full of booze. Hey ho, away I go, I got nothing left to lose. to the old jalopy, the records nobody plays. The girls don't think they're beautiful and turn themselves away. Here's to the windows glowing in the fading light of dusk. Somewhere there's a home for all of us. Well, I sharpened my pencil on the sidewalk, thought up a couple words. I wrote them down on a bag I found and dreamed a couple chords. And a melody came winging, so natural to refuse. And a melody came winging, too natural to refuse. That's how the lyric really goes. Hey ho, away I go. Hey ho, away I go. Hey ho, away I go. I got nothing left to lose. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. We'll hear more this Saturday, and you'll hear about that later. Come on back up. We'll invite Rabbi Josh come back up and sit on the right here, down here. And this time it's more casual. It's a more casual conversation. We divide our conversations into cash and not cash. This is the cash.
Oh,
okay.
cool.
So this is a time, no matter if this is even your first time here, if you'd like to make a comment or a brief comment or ask a brief question. Of course, the rabbi can comment back or does not need to if there's just a comment someone is making. And as you know, some of the, if you want to talk further, there's always coffee. Yes.
And Apollo.
I'll be back.
Hi, thank you for your words this morning. You talked about relationship, covenants, and so how do you have conversations? We've just come through the holiday season, and we're around relatives and others who might have different opinions and different thoughts than us on a wide range of things. How does your theology help you have those conversations with individuals who you may know or not, who have very different opinions? And sometimes they want to force their opinions on you. Sometimes you want to force your opinions on them. And so how does that inform? Because that would be helpful to so many of us who are struggling with that.
Sure. What has helped Jews survive thousands of years, much of which, well, during many of those periods of persecution, has been humor. And I've studied a little bit of the impact of humor on the human being. It's not just a distraction. It's actually health restoring. So I would say, just like so what kind of elicits a little bit of a, you're kidding, right? This is important. What do you mean, so what? So Uncle Joe just made some really atrocious comments or comments that I didn't think right-thinking people would consider. Even wrong-thinking people wouldn't even consider that. We need to be careful of the idolatries. We can worship our own opinion. We can worship our tribe's opinion. We can end up becoming part of a team where the team is more important than the truth. So if somebody is so passionately part of a team that contradicts you, okay, so he's meshugana. That's a good Yiddish word for all of you. Meshugana. A little nuts. I'm a little nuts. They're a little nuts. it's offensive. It doesn't take anything away from the essence of what they said as being offensive, but we don't have to react to that every time. It restores some control. So that's how I would respond. Take a breath, giggle, and say, okay, fair.
Thank you so much. I have a observation, comment / question. And I'll preference it all by saying the faith that you espouse is quite possibly one of the more beautiful faiths that exist. In looking at what it is we're dealing with, specifically the both of you, I have to believe that the rift between Christians and Jews started in some small form where a group of them believed away from the spirituality and more towards the person. Hence, what we now have is white Christian nationalism. And one of the victims I would point to of white Christian nationalism has been Judaism. Having said that, I'm wondering specifically, what is it then that is within the Kabbalah, if I may, to address or outline some sort of guideline or guardrail towards the faith embracing something as strenuous and foreign as white Jewish nationalism or white nationalism from a Jewish perspective. Because when we look at white nationalism for the Christian, it's a big thing. Many of our leaders espouse to be white Christian nationalists. They want to use not just the Bible, but the Donald Trump Bible to carry out this ideology. So I'm wondering if indeed there is a movement among those Jews to address that so we don't go down that same rabbit hole.
There was a lot there.
Yeah.
And it's not the concern that you're expressing, I understand. And I don't want it to sound dismissive when I say that there is no such thing as white Jewish nationalism in this country. To be fully honest, it is possible to have a version of that conversation in Israel. It's not entirely relevant now, but there is a version of that. So here, one thing that we've experienced is that whatever people want to hate, the Jews qualify. The Jews have been communists when that was a bad thing. The Jews have been capitalists when that's a bad thing. The Jews are white when that's a bad thing. The Jews are not white enough when that's a bad thing. So Jews are different. I don't think we fall neatly into that category. But I don't want to dismiss the concern that you're expressing. From the essence of rift, we can get extreme. We can get perverse, racist bigotries that are self-serving and isolationist. And that's a toxin. Yes. So Jews are very concerned about that. We've been alarmed by extremism on the left, on the right, because we're going to end up receiving it at some point in some way. So there's what to be concerned about. And I would just say that very often the religion any religion is a set of ideas that people need to internalize. And a lot of people in Judaism, we have the rabbis say that every human being, in addition to being created in God's image, is also created with a yetzer hara, an essence that is chaos. We have a compulsion, a chaotic compulsion, that can also energize wanting to get married, ambition, building a business, building a city, productivity comes from the yetzer hara as well. It's when it runs amok that it can become this poison. And so the religion is sometimes held hostage by people's nature. So I would look at that first. I don't think Christianity is responsible for Christian nationalism. I think people with twisted, problematic ideas, because I know we're zooming, are responsible for that, not the Christianity.
Thank you. Kathleen?
As we talk about spirituality, religion, and yetzer hara, I personally think that one of the things that has allowed us to stay connected and grounded is ritual. So as we move forward in this time, and Judaism from modernism and so forth and so on in all religions, what's your concept of how we can stay connected to ritual? I personally think that we're losing it or giving it away, however you want to look at it. And so I have a personal concern about how to keep it going. And what's your take on that?
It's a beautiful question. As a conservative rabbi, I first start with the tradition. What are the traditions and rituals that have enriched you in your life? Can you replicate it even in the face of somebody saying, but it's not true? The premise never happened, so why should I do that? Because there is something inherently grounding in ritual, and you know something? That can be enough. That can just be enough. And the person challenging you will eventually come around, maybe not believing the way you do, but appreciating the impact of that ritual. Because people, as they leave religion, are entering a different kind of religion that has been around for exactly 3 months. What about 2,000 years of ritual that, if it has survived, it's delivering on something? You know, keep it going. Keep it up.
Okay, Daria, and then Mimi.
I want to thank you very much for explaining conservative Judaism and the differences, because I have a friend who's also a conservative Jew. And the other thing I really appreciate is the honoring of humor, because you're right, humor is a healing mechanism. And I think that humor is certainly something that I cannot live without. So I just really appreciate that, and thank you.
Thank you. Mimi?
Thank you so much for this. This is great. I loved conservationist Judaism. That was fantastic. I had 12 years of Catholic education with nuns and the full regalia for most of it. And I am so admiring of people who are, let us say professionally, conserving these religious traditions. But, and I've also been a comedian much of my life. I'll tell you, nothing kills the humor like, blood massacres. I just can't laugh at that. And so the Bible story that keeps coming to me is Solomon with the 2 mothers saying, it's my child. And only the one who said, no, don't cut it in half, she can have it, was the one who was the true mother. And I keep waiting for a Solomonic God to say, okay, they can have the ones who are not killing and maiming. So the thing about conserving religious tradition is, and an answer to so what is, so don't kill me for it. So stop killing me for it. That's so what. And I just wonder how you can answer that, because I love the constellations of religion. I love that picture of Jesus. And, you know, I had so much consolation. I can't have it anymore because I feel I'm being recruited, as you said, onto a team or into an army or into an allyship with my tribe that I don't agree with. I'm like, let them, you have the baby, just don't kill it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'd love to hear you speak on that.
I honestly believe, just as the times that we're living in are a little unrecognizable to even us,
Yes, definitely.
it comes and it goes. There is something to the American spirit, which has always been subject to charlatanism, but has also gotten past it. So it's awful, and it could get a lot worse. But it's not all the same in the world. Remember, stick to being American for now, because that's the culture you're a part of. That's the water you're living in. And then remember that this too shall pass, but it'll pass the more you pay attention to what's called the 4 cubits in rabbinic literature, your Daled Amot, your 4 cubits around you, meaning yourself, your family, your community, this community, the place, you're at the grocery store. The kindness that you show the person who's wearing a Make America Great Again hat. That is not succumbing to this new culture of religious politics.
Thank you. We are, there's a lot of people with their hands up, and there are some online. So I think I'm going to, but I'm going to go to, I said Wendy, and then we're going to go online, and then we're going to come back if we have time. But we do need to, we are having a potluck afterwards, and so we're inviting everyone to stay and have a conversation. Sometimes this happens when there's a really good conversation. We can't actually get to every person, and I really apologize for that. But because there is a potluck, we'll have time individually.
What's the difference between conservative Judaism and Zionism? And can you define what a Zionist is?
Yeah, it's sort of a non sequitur, in that Zionism, so to be Zionist is really synonymous with being a Jew that believes that there ought to be, should be, could be, always had been, and should be again, a Jewish homeland, a Jewish state. So unless, and I would include everyone here, unless you're a person that believes that Israel has no right to exist and it should be wiped off the map, only to that extreme. If you're not at that extreme, then you're also Zionist. Why not? So that's just a simplistic way of just saying Zionist is not its own thing. It's fluid throughout Judaism over the last 2,000 years. Because it was only 2,000 years ago that we were exiled from the land that we had lived in for thousands of years before that. So that's that. Conservative Judaism is not to be compared with that. In fact, no Judaism is to be compared with that. It's really, how do they operate within the religion? But I would say Zionism is this intention more than anything else. Now, there is, of course, political Zionism that emerged with Theodor Herzl in the late 19th century that gave rise to the machinations that created this state, agencies, institutions, defense, and so forth. There's a rich, inspiring history. Early Zionism inspired Americanism, which is a whole other movement, which frankly, I almost spoke about this at the High Holidays. I think we may have spoken about it, the importance of seeing this country as an unrealized promise that is clearly familiar to us. And imagine if we deeply considered that at root we have more in common than we have not. And let's start there and build. Imagine that. That would be an Americanism that would say, we have a purpose, we have meaning, we can always be better. In fact, we have a responsibility to be better. And yeah, there's a lot of dirty laundry that needs to come in parallel with our sense of purpose and what we build.
Because the Palestinians also deserve a land of their own.
They absolutely. Yep. Well, actually, no, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who was first. So, yes, I'm not making an argument against the Palestinians. No, they're not. They're not. They're really not. It's painful. So I feel it. I feel it. Sitting in that discomfort. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So this is
and there are many perspectives here, and they all coexist.
Yeah, so we won't be able, so this is a long conversation, but we also have 2 more people on Zoom, and so.
Would it help if I looked at them this way?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
over there. Actually, yeah, the camera. Jerry and then Linda. Jerry?
Good morning.
If you want to see his face, you could look
You're
that way.
together.
Okay.
But either way. Yeah, we can hear
You
you.
hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, good job.
Thank you. Very interesting and a step towards more coexistence, and it's beautiful. I'm what you might call a Jewish atheist, but so what?
You're a member of my own family, let me tell you.
Yeah. I feel that every religion, the extremes of every religion, they're not practiced the way they were theorized. None of them. Same with political stances, whether it be communism, socialism, capitalism. It might have been created to do some good, but there's a lot of hypocrisy and not really following the original intent. I'm a believer in coexistence, and I believe what you say, Rabbi, about humor. So I want to say to you that as I get older, I find that a lot of my views tend to change. But somehow, strangely, I still feel that I'm always right. I don't know how that works. But thank you all.
Thank you, Jerry.
Jerry, can you see me looking at you? Am I looking at the right camera?
I see you. Yes.
Oh, up there. Oh, there. Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah. Okay, Linda? Are you on, Linda?
Yeah, I'm here. It's just fumble fingers trying to unmute on my phone. I'm so glad that you are here, Rabbi. This is such a rich conversation, and I want to say that it's much too short. I want to say one thing that I really appreciated, that I think sort of the concept of missing the mark is so much healthier than the concept of sort of original sin and confession and stuff. It really implies that we're trying and we're not succeeding. And I understand the concept of, I don't remember the word, but the chaos that we carry, as well as being created in the image of God, it's not all, like my mother's church that baptized children with rose petals, but this is a whole other deal. But I think that it's a really healthy way of looking at what sort of in the Christian tradition talks about the relationship between faith and works, right? That we have a responsibility to love justice and like that, and do good. So I think that perspective is very helpful. I think that some of the questions that have been asked this morning are at the point of looking at the elephant or gorilla or whatever in the room, which is that we are living through a mass genocide. And I think it's really interesting what I think it would be anti-Semitic to assume that all Jews are Zionists. Actually, and I know a lot of Jews who are not. That I think Zionism is a political ideology, and it's actually idolatry to confuse a political ideology with a religion in the same way that Christian nationalism is idolatrous. I realize that that's not something that you and I are going to agree on, but I do think that these are questions, and I don't just say that the Zionist project, starting with Herzl, which is the one we're living through, had as its basis, we've all read Ilan Pappé, or some of us have read Ilan Pappé, and I'm sure you have, the expulsion of the Palestinians from their homeland. So it's a complicated question, and I think we should continue that conversation in a more organized way. So I appreciate you being here and putting yourself on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Is it Linda?
Yeah.
Linda, thank you for that. There's a lot there. What I would love to do is have time to sit down and talk this out, not for the sake of persuading, but in other words, if I were to object, and I have objections to a lot of what you said, but if I were to simply sit here and object to this or that or the other, then it doesn't go anywhere, right? There's not just context, there's texture to what's happening. One thing I would say is it doesn't take anything away from what's happening to question what I would consider the misuse of the word genocide. It doesn't take anything away from what's actually happening, which Jews and Israelis share in the torment of what's happening. So that said, I think that we can come to agreement. I might be able to persuade you to make certain adjustments in language without saying that what you believe is happening is not actually happening. There's a lot to be honored here, and that includes context and texture, different perspectives. And this is exactly the kind of conversation I would love to have, and it would take some time, and coffee would be on me.
All right, so I think we want to thank Rabbi Josh, and this has been a very rich and...
Thank you guys, thank all of you.
There's about 5 people who I did not call on, and I apologize, but we'd be here for a very long time, and we do have food waiting. And so, and he can come back. He's only down the street, or we could go there. Yeah. And so it's not done. And also, obviously, this is not done. There's a task force actually at the church now on this issue on the Middle East, and they'll be bringing probably workshops to us or different things like that. So we will have opportunity for more discussion thoroughly. But on Sunday morning, unfortunately, is more brief than we would like. So I want to thank you so much, and we will have a time of silence, and then we'll be broken with a song. Go back. Thank you.
It was in tune when I bought it. I didn't make that up. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Who, what, where? Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul.
Good morning. I'm back. And in spite of the way I'm dressed, I'm not here to collect for the Aiden Hutchinson Injury Recovery Fund or anything like that, but for the church. And it's a new year. And one of the things I thought about in this way is many of you pledge and do that every year. And maybe it's a time to think about upping your pledge, you know, a little bit, like just a tiny little bit each year. Because in spite of the fact that there actually are some coins in this bucket, we start with, the bucket's empty right now. So we're starting a new year, and your help really does allow us to have the kind of programs and events and keep this community going. So whatever you can do, we all thank you for that.
הנה מה טוב מנעים שתחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב מנעים שתחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב שתחים גם יחד.
For announcements, we have some wonderful announcements. The first one is up for to do bread, and we are lucky because Wendy is doing bread.
I brought cornbread muffins. They're in the back, so I'm not going to pass them around just because people can help themselves. But when October 7th happened, I don't think I even heard about it that day, but when I finally did hear about it, I immediately contacted my close Lebanese Brazilian friend, Hussein, who knows more about politics than most people in the world. And I said to him, I was crying, and I said, they're going to kill them all. And now, over a year later, and over 50,000 dead, and who knows how many children with arms and legs and shot in the head and that are surviving, but barely. I cry almost daily about this. I mean, it's so enmeshed in my thoughts. I watched Amy Goodman on Democracy Now! She's a good Jew. And I listen to her show every day. Well, I record it and I watch it whenever I want. It's 5 days a week on PBS. And I have other sources of information. My dad, a black and Creole man from New Orleans, was brought to LA in 1912. Well, he was born in 1914. His mom could pass as white, so they were very lucky and bought houses and cars, because when they got here, my grandfather couldn't buy anything, and no cars or homes. Not a black person. And then my dad my dad smoked pot before it became illegal in the 30s. He was a bohemian, he was an artist. And his wives, he had 2 wives before my white mom, and they were both Jewish. And that was back in the day, in the 40s and 50s, when there were, artists and black people and Jewish people, and they were fighting against fascism and against McCarthyism, and they were writing movies, and there was a union there. But that kind of got severed, and then the Jews got really rich, a lot of them, not all of them, and I mean, come on, it's truthful, it's not racist. And things were different. So I was brought up very left-wing. I went to a Unitarian church that I never felt a part of, but we did a lot of draft card burnings and Dr. Spock speaking, and the reason I don't feel it wasn't very integrated. It was mostly white artists, hippie kids, and that didn't believe in God, I felt. And I always believed in a God. I used to play my grandmother's piano, the black notes, and sit there and cry. It was just cry. But anyway, I've been very sad this past year about what's happening in Gaza. And, I'm not going to go into all the gory details that I've learned, and they're really gory. But anyway, I'm glad to be here and share some black eyed peas and greens and cornbread.
Thank you, Wendy. Please join me in our closing circle.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can.
Welcome to our closing circle. This is our time to share joys or concerns. Sometimes some people call it prayer circle, and some people call it sharing joys and concerns.
Happy birthday, Paramahansa Yogananda. Happy birthday. Haida, 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 haida,
Now we're going to say together, carry on. We're going to lift our arms together, and when I count to 3, I'm going to say carry on, because that's what we do, right? 1, 2, 3. Carry on!
Carry on.
Thank you all. Enjoy food, even if you didn't bring it, doesn't matter. Enjoy food.